conference. First of all, you pointed out the discomfort that most people have with feminism, the term feminism. And yesterday, in our inaugural address, our vice chancellor began by saying that he rejects this notion of Islamic feminism. But then every point that he made was the same that Islamic feminists are making, that this is about these are wrong interpretations, wrong tafsir, and we need to sort of reinterpret or look at it correctly, so on and so forth. So very, very important and pertinent to point out that it's not necessary for us to call people what they want to be called. We need to sort of think about it and apply our own understanding. Secondly, you again very rightly pointed out that context matters. And a lot of times Muslim women do not encounter fiqh or jurisprudence directly. They very often encounter it through a network of other elements, and those networks matter. I do not directly work in the area of Islamic feminism, but I work with Muslim women writers. These are the sources that I work with. And when I look at Muslim women writers who write in Urdu, most of them are responding not to fiqh, jurisprudence, or Ibn Arabi or other Islamic scholars, but they are responding to Islamic reform movements in India and how they have interpreted Islam. So they are Islamic feminists, but not in the same way as Fatima Marnisi or others. So these networks are very important, and that is where decolonial frames perhaps become valid, become pertinent, because here we are looking at entanglement that Membe talks about, and these entanglements become important instead of looking at these terms or these identities as neat categories. So we need to get out of these. Even notion of intersectionality therefore is problematic because it assumes neat categories. So entanglement and assemblage, these are the frames that decolonial scholars are giving to us, and they become very useful when we discuss, Muslim women. And even when we talk about, the notion of Muslima, I mean, personally, I would be uncomfortable with a term like Muslima, or with a term like, because how much of Islam do we understand? But still, the way Islam is interpreted in our society, in our context, it impacts us. So I mean, we are really closing on the right note. The decolonial frame is the way forward, because there are so many multiple networks, multiple strands, which actually are rooted in social contexts. So thank you so much for this brilliant talk. I have noted down so many points, but I don't think I will go through them. But you made just the, sort of invoke just the right note to end this conference and take these questions with us and probably think about them. When I saw my colleague Dr. Amina's interest in Islamic feminism. She was attending workshops, this and that. And I called her and I said, why don't you do a conference on this? Let's do it. And she looked utterly confused. And from that point to this day, when both of us, I think, are very proud, and I must congratulate Amina, because it has been a hugely successful conference. A lot of our students, not just students, colleagues, people around us who always thought that Islamic feminism is about something very Islamic. Someone even said that, oh, India is not an Islamic country, so why talk about Islamic feminism here? So, people who had all kinds of apprehensions now probably have a better understanding of what it is, right? And why it is important to understand and engage with these notions in academia, within academia. So thank you very much. I won't take much time, but thank you very much. I must say that as an organizer, I'm very proud to be part of this conference, and I must congratulate Amina, for bringing us to this point. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Professor Ali. Thank you, Professor Zedi. This was indeed a very, very stimulating lecture. Understanding of how feminist praxis emerges from within interpretive traditions and not just outside it. Thank you so much. I'd like to pass on the mic to Alvira for a reading of the conference report. Over to you, Alvira.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I would now like to read out the report of the conference. The Sarojini Naidu Center for Women's Studies, Jamia Millia Islamia, organized a 2-day international conference titled Islamic Feminism and Decolonial Futures, Epistemology, Ethics, and Praxis on 7th to 8th of November 2025. The conference brought together an interdisciplinary gathering of scholars, activists, theologians, and researchers from across the world to engage in critical dialogues around Islam, feminism, and decolonial thought. The conference commenced with the inaugural session. The Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Mazhar Asif facilitated the session. The session was graced by distinguished guests and scholars, including the chief guest, Jahanzeb Bakhtar, alongside several eminent academicians and activists. The first day of the conference opened with a thematic session titled Feminist Epistemologies and the Politics of Knowledge Production in Islam, chaired by Professor Vijay Lakshmi Brara. This was followed by two parallel sessions. The first, Decolonizing the Gaze, Feminist Politics of Visibility and Voice in Islam, was chaired by Dr. Amber Ahmed, who offered valuable insights on the politics of representation and visibility within Islamic feminist discourse. The second session, Sufi Imaginaries and Feminist Spiritualities, chaired by Dr. Mushtaq, explored the intersections of mysticism, spirituality, and gendered agency in Islamic traditions. Later in the day, the session on Revisiting Islamic Jurisprudence, Gender Justice, and Family Law Reform, chaired by Professor Huma Yaqub, examined legal and ethical dimensions of reform within Muslim societies. The day concluded with a keynote address by Professor Miriam Cook titled Islamic Feminism Across Time and Space. Her lecture offered an illuminating historical overview of Islamic feminism, tracing its evolution from the time of the Prophet Muhammad to contemporary movements and emphasizing the significance of multiple critiques in resisting patriarchal interpretations of Islamic texts. The second day of the conference commenced with a series of thematic sessions, including Lived Experiences of Muslim Women in Grassroots Activism, chaired by Dr. Sanobar, Historical Trajectories of Muslim Women's Scholarship and Activism, chaired by Dr. Anisur Rahman, Muslim Women and Fiction, Islamic Feminist Perspectives, chaired by Dr. Shubi Abidi, Intersections of Islamic Feminism with Decolonial Thought, chaired by Dr. Shuja, and Digital and Cultural Frontiers of Muslim Feminism, Women's Activism and Representation in New Media, chaired by Professor Meher Fatima Hussain. These sessions fostered wide ranging discussions on representation, activism, creative expression, and decolonial colonial rereadings of Islam through feminist lenses. Two plenary lectures enriched the day's proceedings. The first one was by Dr. Roja Fazeli, who delivered a talk titled Defining Muslim Women Notes from the Field on Iranian Women's Identities in the Diaspora, addressing questions of belonging, identity, and feminist negotiation. The second one was offered by Professor Asma Afsaruddin, who presented on rereading the Quran through a Muslim feminist lens, offering a profound reinterpretation of the Quranic text through egalitarian and ethical frameworks. The conference is going to conclude with a valedictory address by Professor Kesia Ali, who delivered an inspiring lecture on Islamic feminism and the struggle for justice today. She emphasized the ongoing need to link scholarship with activism, foregrounding justice, equality, and ethical engagements as central to the future of Islamic feminist thought. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Elvira. I may now request Dr. Amina to share the vote of thanks.
Yeah. So before I move on to the vote of thanks, I want to also thank Professor Ali for a very fascinating and a generous talk. And I think all of us are actually walking away with new questions and maybe a deeper sense of how layered and how alive this project, Islamic feminism, really is. And what has really stayed with me, Professor Ali, when you began with the moment of the interfaith event, when the Imam casually, described egalitarian, as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. And then you use that moment to beautifully show how decades of women's scholarship, right, from Rifat Hassan to Amina Wadud to Asma Barlis, how they have already shifted what we take for granted. So, how the intellectual and spiritual work has quietly transformed our collective common sense. So, thank you so much, Professor Ali, for closing our conference. You have tied together everything that we've been reflecting on for the past 2 days, which is knowledge, which is ethics, which is faith, courage. Um, I would like to now officially close this conference with a formal vote of thanks. Um, First and foremost, deepest gratitude to Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Mazhar Asif, for his inspiring presence and his generous time at inaugurating the conference and always supporting us. Also, I would like to thank our patron registrar, Professor Mehtab Alam Rizvi, for his always ready support and encouragement again in preparation of these academic dialogues and interventions. Also, I would like to thank the chairperson of this conference and the honorary director of Center Sarojini Naidu Center for Women's Studies, Professor Nishad Zaidi. Yes, as you rightly said, ma'am, it was your idea. You planted this idea into my head, and I had no idea it could take such shape, and that size. So thank you very much for your support and for the encouragement. It has truly transformed our center into a very vital, I would say, a very dynamic, place of scholarship and engagement. Also, I would like to take this moment to thank the presence and participation of all our distinguished speakers, Professor Miriam Cook for her keynote, Professor Roja Fazili, for her insightful plenary on Bilqis project, Professor Asma Afsaruddin on the readings of the Quran and the feminist hermeneutics, and of course, valedictory speaker, Professor Keisha Ali, for the most befitting closer, to this conference. And I would also like to thank all the session chairs, the panel discussant, the rapporteurs, who steered the discussion with such care and insight, to all the paper presenters, the participants, the guests who joined, just the attendees. Thank you so much. And of course, this conference would have not been possible without the student organizing team. So my deepest appreciation to all of you. To Elvira, I would like to call out the names to Elvira for this outstanding back-end management and smooth coordination and communication. Farhana for her creative vision and designs for the conference to define the look and feel of this conference. To Preeti for her meticulous, aesthetically designed book of abstract. For Vaibhav, who's been truly the tech soul of this conference. He's omnipresent. He's not seen everywhere, but he's been, right from the beginning, managing all the digital detail for this, ensure a smooth and a very professional experience for all the participants. And all my other members, my volunteers, Yusra, Kulsum, Sajid, Devansh, Anurag, Humaira, thank you so much for being there, for such an active and enthusiastic participation. Thank you so much, all the faculty, the colleagues, research scholars, all other volunteers, or anyone whose name I've missed. I'm really sorry. Thank you so much for being there, and have a wonderful evening. And I think it has led to a discourse, and I think we're going to be in touch with all our contributors, and we'll be definitely taking that forward. Sorry, did I miss any? So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Professor Kishali, and thank you. Have a great evening.
Huge congratulations to you, Amina, and the entire team. Now you can relax, go, sleep well.
Thank you all. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor
everyone.
Ali. Thank you. It was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right.